Donovan, wins don't come easy in this league, and you said it shoot around this morning. Like, these are those dangerous games. What do you think was the difference tonight?
Sorry. First and foremost, I think Lonzo, Jalen, Craig defensively changed the game for us. We challenged Jalen at halftime to guard Jamal Murray. I think he made 2 shots. And the shot he made was off of a miscommunication by me and J.A. to start the half. So that's a big credit to him. Zoe has been out for 2 games and now come in and have the immediate impact, not just the 3 ball, but coming in, the play he had at the rim defensively, getting steals, getting stops, leading us. Huge. And then Craig Porter's been phenomenal, right? It's the same story with these guys, man. They've just been, leading us. Dre's back, obviously, which definitely helps him playing at a high level. The biggest thing about Dre was the tip at the end, the tip to J.A. J.A. gets the rebound, obviously, and throws it to me. But without them, we're not in this game, so I give them a lot of credit.
What does that say about the professionalism and just the overall play of specifically Lonzo Ball?
I mean, we've both been in this league for 9 years, so we came in together, and he's been around it. And I think to see him not only respond on the offensive end, but for him to continue to be who he's been and not pout, not be in bad spirits, like that's a sign of a pro, right? Comes in, does his work, and then coming out here and impacting the game in ways that he knows we need, it was huge.
You hold them to 11 points in the fourth quarter. What changed for you guys defensively?
I feel like we're more focused, which I'm not too happy about. I know we all like to be positive, but it shouldn't be, right? Like, I'm always going to be critical, even though we're playing better basketball. We're playing really well. We're doing a lot of things well. But my next challenge is, shouldn't be till the fourth. We should have started out. Obviously, they had 24 in the first and then 2 30-point quarters, 35 and 38. That can't happen, right? We got to figure it out, whether it's our turnovers, which I had 4, DG had 6. That can't happen from our guards. Mishaps. Now, credit to them. Some of them guys who don't typically make shots made shots. But, for us to do that in the fourth quarter shows we can do it. Now we got to do it for 4 quarters like we have in the past few games.
You talked a little bit about Craig Porter Jr., his impactfulness, especially on the offensive end. When you talk about his dribble drive and getting into the painted area and then kicking out, how beneficial can that be for an offense?
It makes life a lot easier, and we're in a lot together. And he makes my life a lot easier, right? Like there's a trust. I don't have to always come back and get the ball. I'm able to run down and kind of let him create, initiate, finding him. He had 5 assists today. Obviously, defensively, we'll know what he does, but just for him to make the right decisions, get into the paint, tough layups. Like he's athletic. He can create for others. He can get his own. He makes the game easy for everybody.
Donovan, what does it say about the character of your team when you can win a game with Kenny just sounds like a clunker? So what does it say about the character that they can still win?
It just shows our mental fortitude. But now, the goal is to not be in these situations, but we are, and we like I always say, it's never going to be perfect, but how do you respond as a group? And tonight we did, and it wasn't necessarily just offensive. Defensively, we stepped up and did what we need to, and we rebounded the ball very well at the end of the game as well.
Ken mentioned the offense being at times a little stagnant tonight, maybe not getting to the paint as frequently as you guys needed to. What did you think led to that?
Well, I think first and foremost, they went zone, which definitely was tough. Give them a lot of credit. They changed their coverages throughout the game. Give them credit for that. We got to do a better job of recognizing whether they're in switches, whether they're not, getting to our stuff a little faster, like we have been. And I think it's not always going to be the best. We figure it out, right? And I think there's moments where instead of taking a 3, I can get in the paint. Same thing with DG or Dre or JT, or if we do hit, and sometimes it's a kick out to a chase pick and roll. You know what I mean? Sometimes we find Ev, and he did a great job of it. They throw 3 at him. Pitch uphill and then uphill DHL and get down in the paint. So just get into it a little bit faster. But like I said, you got to give them credit for changing their coverages every 2 seconds. Sometimes they were in switches, sometimes they were staying. So it made it tougher for guys to recognize which screen to set. And then also it's on the ball handler to make the right read as well.
Why do you think you guys have kind of struggled at times against zones this year? Can you mention you guys are 26 in efficiency against zone defenses? You guys were second in the league against them last year.
I don't know what our numbers are shooting-wise, but I'm hoping I'm right when I say this, but I believe we're not making a lot more shots in the zone where teams are having to get out of it, which I think is obviously, a part of it. when you're missing your two best shooters for the most of the year, that definitely, is part of that. And I think, we have an emphasis on getting to the paint, but sometimes, we got to let them fly and be okay with that. But I think a lot of it is to get a team out of a zone, you got to shoot them out of it at sometimes. It's not always going to be get to the paint. And I think we haven't done – it's not like we haven't gotten good shots. Sometimes we just haven't made them, you know what I mean? And I think that's a part of it. But we also do a better job of also getting into our actions and also pushing the pace so we don't have to play against the zone.
You guys have won 5 out of the last 7. How close do you feel like you guys are to being the team you want to be?
Still got a ways to go. We're playing well. And maybe I'm being overly – a little too much, but that's just the way it is. Like we've done it for 10, 11 days. Obviously the Knicks loss was tough. The Houston game was tough, but outside of those games, man, we've shown that there's a different vibe, right? You guys see it on the court. It's different. And I think now, instead of 7 games, it's 10. And 10 is 12. We're at a time where not just talk about it, we got to just do it. And I said that to Chris this morning. I can tell you, we can sit here and tell you guys what we need to do all we want. It's January, so it's time to put, our foot on the gas, and we're doing it. But now we got to continue to do it.
Where do you feel like the biggest improvement still needed?
I think a collectiveness on both ends of the floor. I think a communication and understanding. And I'm not saying we're doing a poor job of it. I just think there can be even better. We can be better, right? I think. For instance, I'll use the blitz when Jamal got his 3 at the end of the quarter. I think Jay and I having that miscommunication. We don't that can't happen, right? And give him a guy who has 28, at the half. It can't be his first shot as a wide open 3, right? The turnovers, right? Or whether it's getting back and communicating defensively. There's so many things. All the defensive rebounds, we got to get on the boards, right? There's so many things we can do to be even better. And I don't mean to say we're not doing it. We're doing a solid job, but we can always be better.
Probably not
Last
the best
question.
time to ask this because Sam and Dean weren't playing tonight. But now that you guys are getting you guys back, just having everyone shift back to the role that they're kind of used to being in, just how helpful is that for you guys? And you just said it, you guys kind of feel like you're getting it together again.
Yeah, I mean, I think that always helps, right? When you have your team whole, when you have guys, and I'm not saying, wow. When you have your guys and we have a collective group, it always helps, right? And I'm not using that as an excuse to our start or whatever, but when you have guys back, everybody's able to, like you said, shift into what they do. But now we have to be stars in what we do, right? And, on a continuous basis. And I think we're showing that, and now the goal is just to do it again. We got a tough team in Detroit on Sunday. Got a team that's, obviously their record doesn't reflect how good they are in Indiana, and then you got Minnesota, right? So we got a tough stretch coming up. We got to be locked in and continue to be that team.
Nuggets came in here shorthanded. Kenny was talking about having to have that appropriate fear before this game. Wins aren't easy in this league, but how did you guys come together at the end?
Just playing with that energy that we know we can. At the end of the day, when we came out in the first 3 quarters, we were lacking energy on the defensive and offensive end, but once we sat down, locked in, we got it done.
All right, so then you head to the fourth quarter and you hold them to 11 points. Defensively, what changed?
Blitzing Jamal Murray, he was killing us in that first half. He had basically 30, and we came in with the mindset, put Jalen on them to slow him down, make sure that nothing is easy for him. Bringing the ball up the court was hard, and it worked out. He did an amazing job tonight.
Yeah, what did you see on Jalen in the second half defensively?
Yeah, that energy that I was talking about. He brought it. He led us in that way. He made sure that the whole team was going to follow behind him.
You obviously were coming back from an injury on both hands. Can you talk about you feeling better, getting better, it's back to catching the ball the way you wanted to? How close are you to being at 100%?
I feel like I'm really close, if not there. Like tonight, it wasn't my goal to score. It wasn't my turn. It was to get my teammates open, make sure that things were flowing on the offense and defensive end. So I think I'm getting back in rhythm. I think that's what more of it is.
Even though Denver didn't have a true center out there, why was it your goal not to score in tonight's game?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily, it wasn't my goal. It just wasn't there for me to score. They were packing the paint. They knew that they were undersized in the paint, especially with Evan and I on the floor at the same time. And it was tough to just get through all the hands down there. So it was up to us to find the open man on the perimeter.
How do you as a team find that energy when you need it, like you were talking about?
Just to go out and do it. Usually it's one guy that leads it, especially when the energy is down. We kind of just build off of one guy, and it was up to Jalen to step up, which he did.
The other night against San Antonio, you guys talked about trying to get the bigs more involved, and there was a clear advantage in the paint. It seemed like early in the game against Denver tonight, there was that same emphasis.
Right.
Do you think you exploited the advantage that you had coming into the game as well as you should have?
I mean, as a big, we're always going to love to touch the ball. That's just what the goal has been in the past few games. Get the bigs the ball in the roll, try to get us more involved, because we're going to find the guards on the perimeter. I think we went away from it a little bit only because they went into zone, and that kind of slowed us down. That made us rethink everything that we were doing, and we just got away from it.
From a big's perspective, what makes it challenging to play against the zone?
Pick and roll, especially for me. I can't just do my normal pick and roll. It slows everything down. There's more bodies in the paint. There's more hands everywhere. And then for me, it's just in the dunker. It's not my job to kind of set up the offense to be in that advantage. I just have to wait for my opportunity to open up.
When you're in lineups with Craig, what stands out most to you about his play?
It's one of my favorite times. I love playing with Craig. He's looking for people on the roll. He hit me a couple times in the roll. His defensive effort is incredible. I don't know his stat line, but I feel like he did everything on the stat sheet tonight, making sure that he brought the energy. He was blocking shots, rebounding, even scoring the ball.
As a shot blocker yourself, and with how different stature-wise you and Craig are, what can you appreciate about how Craig blocks shots?
I mean, just Craig gets it done. He was the leader on this team in college and blocking shots. He averaged 4.5 blocks a game. So people sleep, right? People sleep on Craig.
Craig's a player that likes to get downhill, and that's part of the reason that Kenny likes playing with him and Donovan and yourself.
Right.
Just when you see him getting downhill, and is that kind of emblematic of how he's able to impact the offense, but also in a way like that Darius and Donovan can in the second unit?
Right. That's the thing for us. When we touch the paint, you can see the stats that our three-point makes go up, our percentages go up. And when Craig touches the paint, everybody. When we touch the paint, our shot percentage goes way up. And Craig definitely goes and attacks the paint and finds the open man.
Jarrett, what did you think of Lonzo tonight?
Incredible. He shot the open shots. He found the open guy. He hit me on the transition one that I missed the layup, but he was just finding everybody, getting stops on the defensive end.
Third time question here, obviously, but Sam and Dean didn't play tonight. But you guys are getting guys back now.
Right.
Just how nice is it that everyone can kind of shift back into what they're used to, and it seems like it's kind of given the team a little bit of juice the last couple of weeks.
It's almost word for word what you asked Donovan.
Not bad, right?
Not bad. We're just finally able to be consistent with how we're going out there and playing. Instead of having 3 different guys having to switch roles every single game, we can reliably count on people to be there every single night to be able to to be in the same spot every time.